All right, welcome in, college baseball fans. I am lucky to be joined here by Coach Josh Jordan of the LSU Tigers. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Coming off a good win last night versus New Orleans, and got a light workout today and travel day tomorrow to Austin, Texas.
Fun times. Well, let's get right into it. It's this time last year, you guys were kind of scuffling a little bit, maybe searching for a few answers, but this year you're coming off a home sweep of Missouri. How do you feel like the adversity that you guys went through last year helped shape this team this year?
Well, I think first thing, the guys that are on the team from last year, they're just a little bit more mature and a little bit more experienced. Thinking of guys like Jared Jones, for example, who had a great ball game last night and has a great season so far. I'm really excited about the progress of Jared Jones. And he's kind of a guy that's in the middle of the lineup. And sometimes offensively, as he goes, we may go. And we've got a lot of really, really talented players. But he's the guy that kind of has the reputation here in terms of LSU as a guy that's a major threat. The number of home runs he's hitting over the course of his career is remarkable. And so I say that to say we've got some guys who are just a little bit older, some guys a little more experienced that are just. But that being said, this is a lot of new faces. It's not necessarily a young team, but it is a new team to LSU. And I mentioned to you, I think the last time we spoke, that start of SEC play would be another opportunity for our team to grow and mature. So far so good. Coming off it's hard to sweep anybody in college baseball, let alone sweep an SEC series. And so really excited about the way our guys played.
Yeah, another guy that's really established himself in this lineup is Derek Curriel. He's been having a sensational year. What is it about him that makes him so advanced as a hitter?
Well, I think Coach Johnson said it best the other day in like a post game was I think some guys are just born to play baseball. And this game is never easy, but it can be easier for some than others. And Derek Curriel's that way. Really, really talented player. Has a good pace about the way he goes about the game, the clock. He never gets too sped up. And he has a lot of different ways that he can beat an arm. Honestly, he can step into the plate. Been hitting leadoff for us, as you know, and he can hit a ball out of the yard, which he's done, but also he can lay down a beautiful drag bunt. And he can execute an offense, which makes you really diverse as a player. And again, I'm really excited. And as the season goes on, part of his growth and maturation is going to be how he maintains the day to day, because he's never played this level of baseball this frequently. He played in a great high school league and played in all the things with like Team USA and all the major perfect game events, but he's never played meaningful baseball this much. And so that's going to be his challenge, is to stay in character, like Coach Johnson likes to say, and have a good approach day to day. And again, he's not going to be new to everybody very long. The word's already out. So we'll see how he adjusts to the adjustment, because people are going to start adjusting to kind of his game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you already mentioned Jared Jones and how much he's improved from last year, to this year. What is it about his approach that maybe you guys have helped coach him on, or what is it that he's changed, you think, this year to last year?
Well, I think, again, it goes back to number one. He just has a body of work that's a little larger in terms of just his exposure at this level and his caliber of pitching. So things like, what he feels like that pitcher's going to, and how that pitcher's going to try to pitch him. Obviously, the recognition of that pitch and the understanding. And he's just a more mature, complete player. And I think everyone on our staff would tell you that, a lot of times, the growth and development of a player, they deserve the credit for that. We're here as conduit, and we have a great developmental plan, I think the best in the country, but it's ultimately up to the player to buy in and try to execute it, and Jared's done an unbelievable job of that.
Yeah, Stephen Milam has really flashed the leather a lot, there at shortstop. He's been awesome. How has that transition been for him? Obviously, on the field, it's worked out great, but how have you seen him progress as a player?
Well, I would echo what Coach Johnson said the other day. I think he's the best shortstop in college baseball, and I believe that. And I'll be very honest about the fact that I was curious how it was going to go in terms of just Milam stepping in at shortstop and his ability. And man, he's really stepped up to the challenge. And he, again, is the best shortstop in college baseball, in my opinion. And in terms of, how it's going or how it's going to go, it's been a dream of his to be the shortstop at LSU for a long time. And he's getting a chance to live that dream. And when you have a guy that's got so much invested, into something, which he has, he's worked extremely hard to make himself a shortstop and a really good shortstop at this level, and a guy that can go on and play shortstop at the professional level. When you got a guy that's got so much invested like he does, again, you feel really confident that we're going to be in a good position going forward with him at shortstop for the next 2 years.
Yeah, there's a long history of LSU shortstops doing pretty well in the in Major League Baseball. So
for sure, especially I think one from New Mexico himself. So
that's right. So how hard is it to come up with a lineup card for each game when you guys have so many options, so many guys that are producing when they get their opportunities? How is it that when you guys sit down, how do you guys build that lineup card out?
Well, again, I think we as a staff will always give credit to our players. One, they're mentally ready to come out and execute. There may be a day you take a guy like Josh Pearson. One day he may be starting because of the matchup and the guy on the mound. The next day it may be Ethan Fry, for example, who had a great night last night, 2 home runs, and so it goes back to the player being ready mentally ready to do that and buy in and to be tough and together. Be mentally tough and be together as a team. Say, okay, this is time for Josh to go up and have his at-bats, per se, if I'm Ethan Fry. And on the flip side of that, if Ethan gets up there, Josh is mature enough and been around this game enough to know, like, okay, this is a good matchup for Ethan, and it's going to help us win a baseball game today. And it goes back, and there's a host of others, guys that have played that and done that role in terms of in and out of the lineup. But also, I think, a lot of credit has to go to our staff. Coach Johnson is the best in the country at preparation. The amount of time that he puts in terms of understanding our opponent, studying our opponent, and making sure that everyone on our staff is in position to put our players in to be in a position to be successful. He spends tireless amount of hours on that. And again, he's unbelievable in terms of the preparation, and it carries over to us as assistants. We all play a role in terms of preparing our players for our opponent. And I think we've done a good job of that so far. And it only gets harder with the SEC play, though.
That's true. So Kason Evans has really proven himself, to be a guy you can rely on, out of that bullpen. What is it about him that as a freshman, he's able to step into that role, step into big moments like Saturday night. He comes in and he slams the door on a 1-run game in the SEC at the box. What is it about him that makes him ready for that role as a freshman?
Well, a freshman in that role is pretty unique, and he's a unique arm and a unique talent. I think he's going to pitch in big leagues for a very long time, and it really goes back to me. I'm kind of always a guy that looks at what's simple in terms of what really makes that guy prepared for this opportunity. And he's a coach's son. We as coaches, sometimes it's a lot easier to get things out of them if their parents had put it in them. And he was raised by a coach. He understands the game and knows what he needs to do and how to prepare and how to go about his business. And he does it as good as anybody. And then also you take that type of approach and you provide that type of stuff. I mean, his stuff is electric. And then that's how you get a guy like Kason Evans. So really, really special talent. Love the makeup, love the character, love the competitiveness. Again, excited that's a guy that honestly, is going to be a foundation and a centerpiece for our pitching staff. He and William Schmidt and Maverick Rizzi and those guys going, Cooper Williams, and all those young arms we have going forward. Those guys are really going to be a strong foundation for a strong pitching staff for years to come, and I'm excited about it.
Zach Cowan's another guy that you guys have really relied on and put in some pressure situations, this weekend twice. What is about him that makes him so versatile, able to fill so many roles? I think last time we talked, you called him the staff Swiss Army knife. What is it about him that makes him so versatile?
Well, I think he has a ton of innings under his belt, transferring here from Wofford. So he understands, like, okay, this level, you may be called upon at any moment. And I think he has a great heart rate. I never know. I joke all the time when I see him. I said, someone want to check on Kyle and make sure he's okay, because it's just such a steady heartbeat. Everything's so slow to him, and he has really good stuff. I mean, that changeup, sometimes he can tell guys it's coming and they can't touch it. I mean, it's a Bugs Bunny changeup, and so he has really good stuff, really good heart rate, really good understanding of what it takes to win at this level, and that's a pretty dynamic combination. And I said Swiss Army knives because I feel confident that he's a guy we could start. He's a guy I could bring in as a stopper. He's the guy we could bring in to close the game. And so it's really a blessing to have a guy that's that talented in that type of a role on this pitching staff, because there's so many talented guys. And so he makes everyone around him better because of his versatility.
Cade Ederson seems to be getting better with each outing. How have you seen him develop into being the ace of this staff?
Well, he's always had good stuff. The fastball, ton of carry. It jumps on hitters. He's always had that. He had that last year. That's why he was a starter for us as a freshman. And trying to, grow and develop him into the role that he's in now. Coach Johnson and Coach Yeski did an unbelievable job of that in terms of helping him slowly mature and go through the process of being a Friday night guy in this league. And now he's taking it by the horns. His approach and his day-to-day is elite. I would compare it to that of Paul Skeens in terms of how he goes about his business. Very mature young man, very intelligent young man. Comes from a great background, mom and dad, really great people. He grew up in Louisiana, born and bred. He's always wanted, much like Monster Milam, he's always wanted to be the Friday night guy at LSU. And I think now that he's gotten that opportunity, he's making the most of it because it means that much to him. And again, when you have guys that have that much invested, that things mean so much to them, you feel like as a coach, you're going to get their best effort every time out.
Yeah, and now the competition ramps up a little bit with Texas. You guys going on the road, your first true road games, this season. What challenges do you see facing this talented Texas team?
Well, one, they're really well coached. Coach Losnick and his staff do a great job, and it's indicated they stepped in and they've won a bunch of ball games here early on. And just like every other program in this conference, it's a grind. It's grind anytime you play a conference opponent. You're going to get dinged, you're going to get punched. You're going to have to be able to take a punch and be able to respond, and that's only more challenging when you go on the road. And so, like I said, starting SEC play with Missouri is a great opportunity for us to mature and to grow and understand what it takes. This is our first challenge in terms of on the road in the SEC. And so I'm excited to see how we respond. I know we have great people in our program. Our kids have been unbelievable in terms of taking ownership in what we've asked them to do in terms of toughness and together. And it'll get tested this weekend in a good environment over in Austin. And if they stay tough and if they stay together, I like our chances in terms of going out and competing well over in Austin, and excited to see how they do.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough environment down there. Their Friday night guy, Jared Spencer, has been just electric. I mean, up to 98 from the left side. How do you attack a guy like that?
Well, we're going to sit down. We never think too far ahead. And obviously know Jared and know what his ability is, and he's a really talented arm. And again, the guy that can go out and shut you down, he really can. That being said, everybody has a hole, everybody has a way in terms of in vulnerability. It's our job as coaching staff to prepare our guys to know what that is. So we're going to look into that and try to understand who he is in more detail. Rather than just watching him from afar and looking at the numbers and so forth. And we're going to start that process. And that process actually started a lot last night after the game was over with. We went ahead and started diving into it, knowing that we're going to be able to have an opportunity today to go out and prepare for him before we even leave campus. And so I'm excited that, we get the opportunity to face that type of arm, because that's why you come to a place like LSU to play in games like this, to be in this type of environment, to be in the batter's box against that type of arm. because when you have a chance to do all those things, now you're preparing yourself for professional baseball, and understanding like, wow, this is what it takes. And again, he's a big league arm, and so our guys get a chance to go in against a big league arm and have a chance to have a big league at bat, and that's our challenge to us offensively.
Well, I know we're all certainly looking forward to it. I mean, you got Texas, LSU, probably the two most storied programs in college baseball, as top 10 teams going against each other. So I know we're all looking forward to it. I know you're looking forward to the challenge, and I appreciate your time. And we'll let you go so you can go get prepared for those Longhorns, and we'll see you this weekend in Austin.
No, man, really appreciate you checking in with me. And like I said, man, this should be a fun series. We're excited about it. And like I said, look forward to checking in with you next week, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody who doesn't already know, Josh Jordan will be joining us each week during this season to kind of recap what's happened. We're looking forward to what's ahead. So we're looking forward to those chats each week. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate you, Alex. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.